Hello once again, our friends,
Welcome back.
Evolutionary Energy Arts family. So we're looking at an Earth change map that was made by Stan Deyo back in 2011. We've looked at a lot of these before, and we're going to continue with our series on, best places to survive these times. And we recognize that, not everybody's going to get up and pack and leave. And some people are going to stay wherever they are because they just like it there and they don't care. Regardless, hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, some people aren't going to budge.
Right.
And that's fine.
Yep, that's okay.
Other people want to get out of Dodge and head to higher ground in many cases. So hopefully this will help you guys to make some decisions. And first, I'm going to be focusing on states that I feel like I know pretty well. So far, we've just done Arizona as far as a state that we feel instinctively has some good spots to write out these times, and just sharing some of the favorite towns, because again, we would focus on towns. In these times, we just get instinctively, as well as from the guides, that, being in a place with a lower population is ideal. Of course, not everybody can do that, so we have to make the best of our own situation. But again, with about 10% of Americans looking to move in the next year, for various reasons, including earth changes, lockdown, geopolitical as well, we hope that this will be informative to you guys.
Yep, a lot of reasons to consider relocating.
And before we get started, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and click the bell so you get all the notifications. This is another one of those earth change maps that we've looked at many times in depth and in detail. And so now we're heading towards the eastern side of the country. Most people, like 2/3 of Americans, basically live east of the Mississippi. So, 2/3 of Americans, thereabouts, live in about 1/3 of the space. So the eastern side of the country is much more heavily populated than the west. And a lot of people feel comfortable in the east. I'm getting used to the west. But yeah, the east felt like home to me. So where would be safe in the east? And well, one of my prime choices would be the state of North Carolina, which North Carolina, I've lived in it in different locations, and I've loved it. I've actually enjoyed living in three very, very different areas of North Carolina. Each had its own identity, its own vibration, its own lifestyle as well. And I just wanted to mention also, this is interesting. This is the government's 100-mile border zone. Do you know most Americans live within 100 miles of the shore? The vast majority does.
That's very interesting.
But when we look at all these maps, for the East Coast, they're all showing an inundation of the low-lying areas. And, when I lived in South Carolina, for instance, I lived in many places in South Carolina, in the Columbia area. I lived in like 4 different spots. And, you could tell that was beach. The beach came all the way up halfway through the state, just like we see in these maps. And really, it was from the area past Columbia, heading in towards the northwest, that it started to, look like it wasn't necessarily exposed to the ocean too recently.
Yeah, a lot of beauty there, though.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, absolutely love it. Same thing with North Carolina. The first place I lived in North Carolina was Wilmington. And, honestly, if we were in normal times, Wilmington and, the Wrightsville Beach area would be in my top maybe 3 or 4 places to live in the country. I love this area. It's absolutely gorgeous. And going down, I believe it's Route 17, if I remember right, going down towards Myrtle Beach, going through just nothing but, a couple 100-foot tall pines, thick forest, and yet having the beach right there. Absolutely gorgeous. I was lucky enough to take a trip down the entire Outer Banks, which was amazing, and seeing the wild horses that were loose up there. just the electricity in the air because you're so far out into the ocean and into the Gulf Stream too. North Carolina's beaches, no offense, South Carolina or Georgia, but they're better. They are better because it juts out farther, and the water's just clearer. You got great surfing. I love it. Absolutely love living on the North Carolina coast. However, in these times, it wouldn't be my first choice because we've seen what the flooding can be like, and it's gonna keep continuing.
Yeah, the water is going to keep moving in the shores.
Yeah, so that would be something to consider. So if it was normal times again, my top 5 places would mostly be over in here. I love it there. But again, these are the times that we are in. So in order to prepare ourselves, and don't worry, that's just the rice cooker going. It's not the fire alarm. It's not a nuclear alert. It's just the rice is ready. In order to prepare for these times, we got to realize the risks. Now, North Carolina is the 4th most impacted state by hurricanes. In our recorded history, it's had 57 impacts. That's a lot. 7 major impacts. And, you could see what the damage is. Now, when we look at it in the bigger scheme of things, you could add up all these deaths, and they're not going to probably surpass maybe 200 or so deaths. So for all the devastation that it does bring, more people die in car crashes.
Well, that's good.
It's something to keep in mind. So we don't panic ourselves over things and keep it in mind in the bigger scheme of things. Because again, some people are going to say, hey, I like Wilmington. I'm going to stay here until the big wave comes crashing over my head, just like in the movie Deep Impact, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that doesn't bother them. That's okay.
Because we don't know. Timelines can move out, and things can stay safe longer than we know. And, again, it's all about going with your own instinct, living your own life to the fullest. So here we see, the major impacts as well by the hurricanes. There's a lot of things to consider because last year, there was tremendous flooding in North Carolina, tremendous flooding. Even, you could have also hurricane impacting and landing in South Carolina, but then the storm generally moves in a northeasterly way, and so it might not even be hurricane, it might be tropical storm. It doesn't even have to be that strong. It all depends on how fast it's moving. Florence was crawling at 1 to 2 miles an hour, which we had never seen before, which, of course, raises eyebrows in the bigger scheme of things as well, and, caused amazing flood damage. Amazing flood damage. So it's something to be aware of. And just, again, you could have major river flooding in certain areas that's going to come time and time and time again. Keeping all that in mind. And we also have, in the eastern part of the United States, a ton of nuclear power plants. Unfortunately. So this is something else to keep in mind. Because what if the grid goes out? What if a tornado hits them? What if a hurricane impacts one? Think about the earthquake with Fukushima. These are all things to keep in mind. And so when picking these choices, that's one of the things that I did keep in mind. And you might not have so many nuclear power plants in your state, but what about your neighboring state with prevailing winds? Because, Tennessee is loaded with them on the western side of the Appalachians. Straight on up, and they're all right by rivers as well. So, this is something to keep in mind too. And this is one of the major reasons why we ended up going west. When Cindy wanted me to introduce me to her family, and I said, yeah, we'll go west. I didn't really want to settle in Nevada forever because it's got more fracture zones than, most states by a mile. And also the military bases there as well, which if there is war, that could be target. So, but we did stay and for a little over a year, and meanwhile we scoured the West, exploring. And so, there's a lot of adorable little towns that you find in North Carolina. After all, this is the state of Mayberry. Do you remember the Andy Griffin show?
Yeah, it's a very cute place.
Yeah, so what we are looking at right here is going to be our fifth choice, which is a little town called Stokesdale. And Stokesdale is here to the northwest of Greensboro. And, if it was completely me without trying to make it so that people have different choices, really all 5 of my choices would be in the Appalachians. However, as far as homesteading goes, you could get some really good deals in areas that you could grow really, really well, a little bit east of the Appalachians as well. So Stokesdale is a cute town. Now, Area Vibes does a great job rating different areas as far as, different things. Like, when I put this together, I'm not taking into consideration some things that might be more important for some people over another, like, schools, for instance. Now, what's great about Area Vibes is you could tailor this to what you want, and I'll give you guys the link to it. I'm looking at it more from a survival standpoint, affordability, crime. If there's high crime right now in a certain area, to me, crime is the first thing I look at all the time. But you should check multiple sources because they don't always agree. So I also use Sperling's Best Places, and I'll go to City Data Forum as well, and see what people are saying, locals are saying. But if a place is hit with high crime right now, when people get desperate, hungry, starving, when things are really locked down and food is really short, then it's probably going to get much, much worse. So for me, that's the first thing I'm looking at.
Yeah, people are looking for different things. But again, it's what is the best place for these times?
Yeah, exactly. And, where are we heading? So Stokesdale has a livability score of 85, which is considered exceptional. Crime rate is 57% lower than North Carolina average. Cost of living is 4% higher than North Carolina average, so that's a little bit of something to consider. Real estate prices are 26% higher than North Carolina average as well, and rental prices are 16% lower than North Carolina averages. And again, I'm looking at towns of under 10,000 people, because I think that in these times it's better to be a little bit more remote.
Well, you do. You want to be a little bit remote, but you do want people to be able to go to work with you. And that's probably, for me, that's one of the most important things.
Yeah, nice people and sense of community. Everywhere I went in North Carolina, I met wonderful people that I'm still friends with. It's the South, and so the South is known for friendly people, really. Elevation is 945 feet. That's something that a lot of people look at long term. If there is a pole shift, crustal displacement, people might choose to be higher than that. We have friends that want to be at 7,000 feet or above, and that's kind of where we have stayed, at 7,000 feet or above.
Yeah, it's a good number.
And, again, everybody is different. So again, you might agree, you might disagree. 5,047 people, not a big town. Nice size. Next is a little town called Toast, and either makes you think food or drink.
French toast.
French toast. I made that for her yesterday, and it was pretty good.
Oh, it was delicious, you guys. Absolutely splendid.
So Toast is another small town, and this is, again, northwest of Greensboro area. Population 1,352. Livability score of 82, which is, again, considered exceptional. Crimes are 52% lower than North Carolina average. Cost of living is 9% lower than North Carolina average. Real estate prices are 38% lower than North Carolina average, and rental prices are 24% lower.
That's great numbers.
Now, when you look at it, amenities are A+, which is amazing for a town that small. You don't usually see that. Things to do. Cost of living B+, crime is an A. Now, employment is a D. So again, it depends. If you need to definitely secure good employment, if you're not mobile, if you're not telecommuting, if you're not, doing things online, then, this might not be for you. And schools is a D. So again, if education is real high on your list, another reason why I feel schools might not be as important is just we're in the age of this lockdown, so who knows how long this is going to last. If we look at some of the people in authority, BG for one, or AF for another, if you guys know the initials, they're saying this is here for a while. So again, we might have most of our kids literally doing online learning, and then there's a lot of us that just choose to do that anyway.
Right. And I think personally that's a good thing.
And so user ratings are the people that live there, know there, and it's A+. So this would be one to consider again if you guys are interested in North Carolina. Now, the next one, and by the way, this is adorable. This is a state toast card. Here's the land of longleaf pine, the summer land where the sun doth shine, where the weak grows strong and the strong grow great. Here's to down home, the old North State. And so, this is an old card here. Isn't it cute?
That's adorable.
But, this is what we see in North Carolina is gorgeous pine trees, pine forest, beautiful. And I've also lived in the Charlotte area, and as you guys know, I've lived over in the Asheville area. And in fact, I actually lived in this little town, which is called Clyde. And I liked it. I mean, there's not a lot there. So, it would either be going into Asheville or it would be going more often into Waynesville. But Clyde itself felt very, very safe, very secure. I felt perfectly at home.
It did. It was really cute and quaint.
And as you see, this is west of Asheville. And Clyde has a population of 1,226 and has a livability score of 78, which is, again, considered exceptional. Clyde crime rates are 61% lower than North Carolina average. Cost of living is 3% lower than North Carolina average. Real estate prices are 7% lower than North Carolina average, and rental prices are 19% lower than North Carolina average. For me, the rent there was kind of expensive, but I thought it was worth it as well, because it was adorable. Living on the mountainside in a cabin, which some of you guys have seen in the old videos. So amenities are D. Yeah, there's not a lot there. You're always going somewhere else. There's really nothing there. Besides, some nice places to walk. There's a lake nearby, Lake Junaluska, which I used to go to and do laps around. It was beautiful. Cost of living B-, crime A+, employment D+. You'll be commuting if you have to do that, if you have to work at your job. Housing rates and F. Housing costs can be expensive, and this was another thing. When I was looking for homes to buy, there was not much that was in my price range there, so that's another reason why we left the area. But everybody has got their own unique situations, and schools are A-, so actually very good. In user ratings, people that know that area, live in that area, A+.
Very nice.
They definitely enjoy it. Now the next city is they call it a city, but it's more of a town. Is adorable, and I really liked this place too. I like the vibe, and that's Bryson City. Bryson City is really close to the border with Tennessee. Again, we're at the western part of the state in the Appalachians. It's just adorable. It's really, really cute. Has a great vibe. And then the area is just so beautiful because you're really in the heart of the Appalachians there.
It looks like a little Christmas town.
It is. And the people were nice and fun, and, had meals there on the streets. When every state's different. Some are in more of a lockdown than others. Of course, this was pre-lockdown times. Very enjoyable. People seem to be really happy there. They enjoyed it. Population's 1,424, and this is in Swain County. Elevation 1,752 feet. When I was living in Clyde, where I was, it was 3,300 feet, which was the same as when we were in Nevada.
Strange how that works.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And This is in Cherokee. It's called, well, what Bryson City is now was the village of Kituwa, which the Cherokee believed to be their oldest village and mother town in the area. So beautiful, beautiful place. Really like it there. Again, Bryson City has a livability score of 76, which is exceptional. Crime rates 55% lower than North Carolina averages. Cost of living is 17% lower than North Carolina average. Real estate prices 28% lower than North Carolina average, and rental prices 28% lower than North Carolina average. So, this one would be a more affordable choice. And I did see properties in this area that were reasonable, what I would consider reasonable. Amenities A, cost of living A, crime A. That's great. Now, again, employment. If you have to find a place to work, there's only a few restaurants, a few little shops in town, and you have a longer ride to try to commute into, say, like an Asheville or anywhere else. So that's a major consideration, again, for some. Housing C, schools D-, and that, again, is another consideration. User ratings, a C. And so, the top one out of our 5 choices, which I've talked about a ton, and this might be a little bit more of an emotional choice in some ways because I just simply enjoyed it so much. I really, really liked this place. And that's Waynesville.
Yeah, beautiful place.
Yeah, Waynesville's got definitely a place in my heart. And, I could see, like, depending on circumstances, living back in that area again. As when we were in Clyde, we'd always go to Waynesville. Now, Waynesville itself is not big. It's not big. The population is just under 10,000 people. It just has a little bit more to do. There's some really cute, quaint, unique restaurants there. There's a place called Boojum's, which is, Boojum, in case you don't know, is kind of a legendary creature of the area, which is kind of like half Bigfoot, half mountain man.
And that was a fun place.
Yes, because it had a pool table in a downstairs area where they would have live music and just kind of that local vibe. And you end up meeting people, getting to know people. And, it was just fun. Nice area to live in, and enough to keep us busy anyway, as we're most definitely not really city folk.
No, we're not.
Give us 5 to 10 good restaurants to choose from, and we're fine.
I think so, yeah.
And this is a location which we had a get together at, and it's beautiful too. And this is close to downtown, and you can sit out right by the river. Just really, really pleasant. There's a coffee bar over here on one side, and then there's a microbrewery on the other side.
Very nice.
So if you guys like microbreweries, this is a great area to be in, with craft beers and things like that.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Now, Waynesville, the things that are going against it is the housing is more expensive, and so that's why it doesn't rate as high as far as area vibes go. Now, they show the crime as an F. I never felt remotely scared in Waynesville. Never, not even remotely. So if we look over at Sperling's Best Places, it shows violent crime is 15.6. U.S. average 22.7. Property crime is a little higher. So these stats here are not bad. So, again, check more than one source and feel it for yourself as well. Livability score is 70, which is considered average. And the cost of living is 1% lower than North Carolina average. Real estate prices 2% higher. Rental prices are 11% lower than North Carolina average. And again, this is a little bit of a personal choice from experience and just how much I enjoyed it.
Yes, it is.
So guys, I hope you found this informative, and I hope, we can help people with decisions. And, if you're in this area or you want to go live somewhere in North Carolina, I hope this helps you out. As always, make sure you're subscribed, click the bell. God bless, and namaste.
Namaste.